What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. How is everybody doing? Welcome to your early morning transfer view. Plenty to get into today. Obviously, we're going to talk a bit about Cristiano Ronaldo. Everyone's talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. We spoke about him yesterday because, of course, the interview that he did with Sky Sports and actually a variety of other media outlets. And I think it got a lot of people talking. DJ and myself spoke about it last night, and the comments that he made about mentality and about Ralph Rangnick and kind of just reminding the players where they are and actually to have some standards and all of that kind of stuff. It was refreshing. It was very refreshing to hear. It was great to finally see someone setting some standards, having a bit of drive and wanting to actually win things and achieve things at Manchester United. It was pretty great. But I think coming out of that, and with specifically the comments when Cristiano Ronaldo was talking about Manchester United should be first, or at the very least second or third, and I don't want to be here to be fighting for sixth or seventh or fifth. I want to be here to challenge for trophies and titles and win things. It led to a lot of people saying, well, if that's the case, Manchester United aren't going to do that this season, even though Cristiano Ronaldo himself said he still thinks United can maybe win a trophy, get top four, progress this season in the Champions League. People have basically said, well, that's not going to happen. So if that's not going to happen, and Cristiano Ronaldo himself has said, I don't want to be here to be fighting for fifth, sixth or seventh, which looks like we are going to do at the moment, what does that mean about his future? Could Cristiano Ronaldo leave at the end of the season? Could he just go, you know what? Not even a case of him, throwing his toys out the pram, but it could just be a case of come the end of the season, a bit like he did with Juventus, even though Juventus finished in the top four in Italy last year, but he could just go, you know what, this club doesn't match my ambitions, these players don't match my ambitions, I can only do so much here, I've only got so many years left competing at a top level, even though I'm 37, I feel like I can still go for maybe 3-4 more years, and you know what, these players aren't worth it. This club isn't worth it. Could he do that at the end of the season? Well, apparently not. Apparently not. Those concerned that Cristiano Ronaldo, with everything going on at Manchester United, might have eyes elsewhere, might be looking or eyeing up his next move away from Manchester United, will have those fears reassured, because it's been said by Fabrizio Romano that Cristiano Ronaldo is not happy with the current situation at Manchester United, but he does want to change it. He wants to bring Manchester United back to the top positions. He wants to fight for it and is only focused on the present at Manchester United. So you could say, well, he's just focused on the now. It doesn't mention about the end of the season. So how do we know that Ronaldo is staying put? Well, Romano continued saying that Jorge Mendes, his agent, of course, is not negotiating with any other clubs for Cristiano Ronaldo to leave Manchester United in the summer. Ronaldo is not thinking about anything else apart from United. It's only United at this point. So essentially what Romano is saying there, that yes, Cristiano Ronaldo is not happy with the situation. Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo wants Manchester United to improve. Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo is frustrated by some of the lack of standards and some of the lack of ambition at Manchester United from the playing staff. But he wants to turn it around. He's not looking to go elsewhere. He's staying put. My little caveat, I would say, when it comes to that is, as of right now, things can happen very, very quickly, and I do look at how he left Juventus last year, and that in January, I don't think anyone was really talking about Cristiano Ronaldo leaving at the end of the season. There were maybe some rumblings, but that was more of a wage issue. That was more of a finance issue at the time, in that the only rumblings about Ronaldo possibly leaving Juventus this time last year was a case of he's on big wages, and because of COVID, can Juventus even afford these wages anymore because of the pandemic, etc. That's not the case at Manchester United. Nobody is saying that Manchester United can't afford Cristiano Ronaldo at this moment in time. So the only reason he would leave at the end of the season would be that, again, I think it's an ambition thing. I think it's an ambition and a standards thing. He would look at the lay of the land and go, are we going to achieve anything anytime soon? Are these players going to achieve anything anytime soon? Who's the manager going to be? Etc., etc. So as of right now, Ronaldo is staying put. And Ronaldo wouldn't leave in January anyway, but when we're looking forward to the summer, as of right now, Ronaldo, his agent, Jorge Mendes, they're not angling or trying to get a move away from the club. He's staying put for now, and as of right now, his plan in the summer, once again, is to stay put. The only thing I would say is that things can happen very fast. This Ronaldo move to United last summer happened very, very fast. It happened it just felt like almost overnight, didn't it? Ronaldo suddenly is like, no, I'm leaving Juventus, unpacks his locker, tells Allegri at the time, I'm going, sorry, I don't want to be here anymore, I'm gone. And Juventus go, okay, you're on big wages, it'll be good to get you off the wage books. And he goes, and then it became that sort of back and forth between United and Man City, or City and then to United. So whilst he is staying put for now, I would say that anything can happen between now and the summer, and it probably will. And I think he is focused on turning around United now. I think he is focused on United still having what could be described as a decent season, but I think he's in the same boat as actually a lot of players, whether that's Paul Pogba, whether that's whoever, is that at the end of the season, once he has some answers to some questions that can't be answered right now, aka, are United going to be in the top four? Who's the manager going to be? What's the sort of status of the playing squad? All that kind of stuff. I think then he'll make his decision on his future. As of right now, he's not going anywhere. He's focused on United. But you can't tell me that at the end of the season, if we finish 7th and we're not sure who our manager's going to be, and there's going to be this big mass exodus of players at the club, he might say, a bit like Paul Pogba might say when it comes to his contract negotiations, you know what? I ain't going anywhere anytime soon, and I don't really have that amount of time to give. I would love to, but I don't have that amount of time to give, and maybe it's best that, as this giant rebuild, maybe it's best that I leave as well. So, as of right now, Ronaldo's pure focus is on Manchester United, but as we know, things can change and will change between now and the end of the season. But as of right now, Ronaldo's not going anywhere. Now, speaking of Ronaldo as well, this is an interesting story here. This comes from Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail, who has said that Cristiano Ronaldo has complained privately that he is one of the only Manchester United players who goes to the gym to do extra work before and after training at Carrington. This continues when he says that he was shocked, essentially, and he has complained privately that he is the only guy to really do this. And this is what it says here. Ronaldo stays behind after training to work on his fitness, but he is baffled that more of his Manchester United teammates do not do the same. So, again, it comes back to standards, and it comes back to really what he was saying in that interview that he did this week. And I mentioned yesterday when I spoke to DJ that you do have to read between the lines in what he's saying. His comments in that interview was not an indictment on Ralph Rangnick. It was not an indictment on his coaches or the tactics or anything like that. If you really truly listen to what he was saying, he was talking about mentality. He was talking about attitude, and he was talking about the desire internally, as from the individual, to want to get better, to hold yourself to a higher standard, to be consistent, to improve. And I think it speaks volumes. And I've spoken about this a lot with here on the channel and with friends of mine over the course of the last few days, that it speaks volumes that Cristiano Ronaldo at 36, he's 37 next month, going to 37 years of age, is still doing more work on the training pitch, off the training pitch, in the gym, than a lot of these other players at Manchester United. And I get it, he's Cristiano Ronaldo, that's what he does. And I get it that he's 36, 37, and he has to maybe put in that extra work to keep himself at that level. I understand it. But if you were a Manchester United player, certainly if I was a Manchester United player, I would literally just follow around Cristiano Ronaldo all day, because that's the standard. That's the example right there. I would go up to Cristiano Ronaldo and go, this might sound a bit creepy, but can I just follow you around for a day and just note down everything you do? Because then, if I implement that, if I've even got a fraction of the talent that you have, I can obviously raise my game exponentially. And not just that, and this is when it comes to sort of realising where you are. You're a Manchester United player, but just because you're a Manchester United player, that doesn't mean that your career is peaked now. It's one thing to get to the dance, it's another thing to stay there and to carve yourself out a legacy and carve yourself out history and achieve things. And maybe that's the mentality of some of these players. Maybe it's just, I've got to United, that's it, I've made it. No, it's not like that. If it was me, first of all, I'd be like, how on earth did I get here? Then I'd be like, I've got to do everything to stay here. How many people over the years have come to Manchester United? Yes, it's a select group, but there have been so many people that have come and gone, especially over the last few years. They'll come and gone because ultimately they're not good enough, they don't apply themselves enough, or they don't improve enough, whatever it may be. I would look at Cristiano Ronaldo and I'd say, that's the example right there. That's the example. And for Ronaldo to be going to work on training in the gym before and after training and be looking around going, why is there only a few people here? Why aren't other people doing this? Why am I the only one doing this? And he's probably like, I'm 36, 37. I'm surrounded by young guys that are immensely talented, and what, they can't be bothered? Or they're not working hard enough? And again, Ronaldo knows. He knows what it takes to be a champion, to win things, to what level of dedication it takes. And obviously, his interview, these reports are him basically saying these players, maybe it's not a case of they don't have the quality or they don't have the talent. They certainly do have the talent, but they don't have the mentality. They don't have the drive to want to win things. This is what it takes to be successful. It takes putting in the work. It's not enough just to go to training. It's got to be everything that comes with it. And he's looking around, and this is why he kept saying in that interview as well, 2022, new year, new start. New year, new start. Trying to encourage these players, new year, new start. You've got to set some new standards. You've got to raise your standards. You've got to raise your work rate. It's not enough. It's not enough just to go to training every day and then go home, unfortunately. It is if you want to just be a player, but if you want to win things, if you want to be remembered as possibly one of the best players, got to put in the work that the other people aren't willing to put in. And a club like Manchester United, I'm sure when he was there previously, everyone was doing that. Because it was that competitive, thriving nature. Not only was Ronaldo doing it, but, I don't know if Wayne Rooney was doing it, but you know what I mean? There was plenty of players that were doing it at the time. And now he's shocked that less people are doing it. And again, maybe that will come in. We talked about his future, that he's staying put, but maybe that will be a case for the end of the season as well. And I think the players are going to be held responsible as well if Ronaldo decides to leave too. Because if he saw a group of players that want to get better and can achieve things, and they're moving in the right direction because of their drive and mentality, he would say, you know what, I'll stick around. It's worth my time. But ultimately, like he said with his advice, it's up to the players whether they take it or not. Ronaldo can offer encouragement. He can offer advice. He can tell and try and point people in the right direction. But unless they take it on board, unless they actually use it, they're just words. It's meaningless. So I think the Ronaldo situation's quite interesting. I really do. And I thought he came across great in that interview that he did this week. Talking about some other transfer news briefly. This came from Laurie Whitwell. We kind of touched on this yesterday, but I want to talk about it again as well. So this came from Laurie Whitwell on the Talk of the Devils podcast. He said that Ralph Rangnick does want a central midfielder to come in this month. There are a couple of names that have been heard. With talks in the works. We spoke about this yesterday, whether it could be Zakaria, whether it could be Kamara, whether it could be someone else. Again, it's a fascinating dynamic, isn't it? Because domestically, and this is kind of the exception to the rule here, but domestically, everyone that's a domestic-based journalist is going, no, Manchester United might not do any business in January, whereas the foreign journalists are going, no, United are talking to people, they're looking for people. I'm on the fence with this one, to be honest with you. Obviously, we need a central midfielder. That was apparent when we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the manager. That was certainly apparent in these recent performances with Ralph Rangnick. Definitely against Aston Villa on Monday. We need someone that can dictate the tempo. We need someone that can win the ball. We need someone that just... there are so many things we need in that central midfielder position, and we need it. And maybe if we do get a central midfielder in, that might be the difference just to get us over the line to maybe the top four. I don't know if it really will, because I don't know if having a central midfielder in there makes our wingers make better decisions or makes our defenders defend better. You know what I mean? Maybe it can help alleviate some of the pressure on all of those positions, but I don't know if it solves all of the problems. The issue is that, and I spoke about this yesterday, United have this dilemma. We have a massive squad at the moment, and there's a big amount of players that are unhappy in that squad, and the major reason for them being unhappy is that they're not playing. So if you do get a central midfielder in it and you don't let anyone else go, then you've probably got another player, because someone's got to lose out. Someone's got to lose out their position to this new midfielder. You've got another player that might be unhappy. You've got another player that would be like, oh, I thought I was going to be playing games and not playing games now. And it's another issue with the squad dynamic, and it's another issue that can become or add to the toxicity in the dressing room. So, and I think United are probably aware of this. In fairness to them, I do think they're aware of this. But in the same vein, as I've said time and time again, if players are unhappy, let them go. Why are we hoarding players at this point? I understand they'll say COVID, and I understand they'll say, well, it's a difficult season, big squad, blah, blah, blah. But we haven't had to use that. We haven't had to rotate that much, because we played pretty much the same, 15 players. People like Donny van de Beek don't play. If they don't play, let them go. Because at this point, they're just seat fillers on the bench. So I think it does depend on the people that we do let go in January. Speaking of outgoings, Eric Bailly's been a rumoured outgoing, hasn't he? AC Milan on loan, reportedly interested. Well, Laurie Whitwell on the same podcast, Talk of the Devils, has said that Eric Bailly is unlikely to leave Manchester United this month. Exits might be late in the January transfer window, as United seem to keep things late in January. So it looks like Eric Bailly isn't going to be going anywhere. I think that one might depend on the Zakaria one, because reportedly Zakaria can play at centre-back as well as defensive midfielder position. So like with anything when it comes to the transfers, like I said, I do think it will be a one-in, one-out policy, which again to me doesn't make any sense. You've got these unhappy players because they're not playing. Play them or let them go. Speaking of which, Donny van de Beek. I feel like we talk about Donny van de Beek and his future all the time. Well, Fabrizio Romano has said that there has been no decision made yet by Manchester United on a potential loan elsewhere for Donny van de Beek. Nothing has been communicated to the player/agent. Rangnick still wants him to stay until the end of the season. The thing is with Donny, isn't it? And again, I'm over it. I'm over calling for him to start games because I know that's not going to happen. Towards the end of Solskjaer's reign, it was like, play Donny. We knew he's not going to play. And it's kind of like with Rangnick now. Play Donny. He's not going to play. He's just not. He's not. So if he's not going to play, let him go. At this point, why do we need him? And again, I like Donny. I think we know his qualities, but we don't know if he's up to the level of Man United because he just hasn't played a stretch of games. And if you're not going to play him, let him go. Again, why are we hoarding players? Specifically, why are we hoarding players that we're not going to play? You know, if you just need people to fill the seat on the bench, that's when you have your under-23s. That's when you have the sort of younger players. Someone like Donny van de Beek, if you're not going to use him, let him go. At the very least on loan. You know, let him go on loan to Dortmund or let him go to Newcastle for the remainder of the season. He might actually convince you that he's worth keeping, or the next manager that he's worth keeping. And to replace Donny's seat on the bench, there's plenty of other people. There is. We've got so many of them at the club. It's this weird hoarding mentality. I'm not sure. Do I ultimately expect Donny van de Beek to leave in January? I don't, because I think Ralph Rangnick's been very honest. I think he's quite an honest guy when it comes to the media. Him saying I don't want him to go. So I don't think he will. Again, unless we bring in a couple of people in January and people like Bailly and Donny go. But I don't see United doing that much business. So ultimately, I expect Donny van de Beek to stay. And then kind of rounding this up here, Mike Keegan from the Mail says that Manchester United, and this is kind of always the case, has a summer list of targets. If any of those become available in January, they'll move for them. So we hear this all the time. We hear this all the time when it comes to January. Bruno Fernandes was the same, where it was a case of he was a summer target from the previous summer, but then he was going to be something that we revisited in the following summer. He became available in January, so we got him. That's kind of the situation in United. They have a list, and if they try and touch on that list in January, if they become available, they'll go after them. The issue is that very, very, very rarely do summer targets become available in January. So basically what they're saying is don't hold your breath for United to do any business. But again, that's a domestic journalist saying that. But at the same time, you've got foreign journalists and the odd occasional domestic journalist saying something else. So you choose who you would like to believe on that situation. But I don't know. I mean, I could maybe see, and again, when it comes to United's dealings in January, like Laurie Whitwell said, I think it will be right at the end of the window because that's how United work. They're not proactive. They don't get stuff done. They panic. There are still games to go in January, so I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of negative results kind of maybe ignites them a little bit when it comes to the January transfer window, and maybe something will happen with people becoming available or people leaving. There's plenty of time. There's still, 15, 16 days to go to the end of the transfer window, and I think a lot will probably happen. So we'll have to wait and see when it comes to that. But look, guys, as always, thank you very much for joining us. I will be live later on today for the Ralph Rangnick press conference and Man United or Aston Villa Manchester United match preview for the game tomorrow. It's a little bit earlier today, the press conference. Usually they're at 1:30. Today it's at 1. So I'll be going live at 1:30. It's always 30 minutes after. So be sure to join me then. Anyway, guys, have a good morning, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.